Well, hello, everybody. It's Fiona Lewis here from Super Savvy Business, and we're here today on the Super Savvy Business podcast with a very special guest. His name is Brent Hodgson, and Brent is the co-founder of Market Samurai, which is pretty much the pseudo-official tool for doing keyword research and SEO analysis in the SEO industry. Now, Market Samurai these days has got over 600,000 users, which I think pretty much puts it amongst the top keyword research tools in the world. And everybody I know in the internet marketing world is pretty much using this tool because it is known to be so wonderful. Now, Brent works with businesses these days on keyword strategy. And apart from that, another little piece of interesting information is that he also flies all around the world in business class, buying tickets for as little as $100 per flight. Now, where was your last flight to, Brent?
Last flight I did was from Melbourne to Phuket, Thailand, and that was business class return, and I booked that for $115.30.
Oh my
Although,
goodness.
that this is probably something for a whole different rabbit hole that we can go down another day.
Yes, it
Yeah,
certainly
let's
is. And
save
I,
that for
I
another day.
definitely would like to pick your brains, as I'm sure many other people would, because I do follow you very closely on Facebook as to where you are in the world and the prices that you're paying for those tickets. So let's definitely lock that in at some other point. But today, Brent, I've invited you along to our Super Savvy Business podcast because I'm really keen to talk to you about all things keyword research, because we all know that as
Thank
business
you.
owners and website owners, it's really, really important to have keyword research as a core part of your online strategy. And most people either don't know about it, or they have a very limited understanding about it, or they just completely ignore it altogether. Would you find that that's in
Yeah.
many cases, often the case for many business owners?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that a lot of people, when they get into online marketing, they have this if you build it, they will come, field of
Mm.
dreams, Kevin Costner mentality. And the reality is, opening up a new website is just like opening up a new store. A new store is still going to need marketing. It's still going to need some effort to make sure that it's being run well and managed well. And the better you run it and the better you market it, the more effective it's going to be as an arm in your business. And perhaps it's the only store in your arm or the only store in your business. Perhaps it's just an extension of your physical business. But one way or another, there is actually a little bit of effort that needs to go into your website. And these brochure sites that people put up and they set and forget, yeah, they might get a phone call here and there. But most of the time, what's happening is people invest a whole bunch of money into those sites, a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of effort, and they never get a return on investment. So that website that they set up becomes something that's in the liability column of the business
Mm.
rather than the asset or the income generating side of the business. So what we're doing here with keywords is working to make sure that our website is as much as we possibly can in that income generating side of the business, and we're maximizing the return of of our website. Now, I'm not sure about your listeners here. Have they come across the concept of keywords before?
Look, I know some of them probably have, Brent, but I was about to ask you, I think, let's just take one step back. And for those of our listeners who maybe aren't familiar with even what a keyword is, because often when people think of keywords, they think of one word. So maybe we
Mm.
can explore a little bit what a keyword is and where they're used, and so therefore why they're important for us as website owners.
The easiest way to think about keywords is if you type something into Google, whatever you type in is a keyword. Now, as you're right in saying, Fiona, that a lot of people think of it as a one word thing, one word keyword. It's a bit deceptive to call it a keyword when there's several words in it. But the reality is, a keyword can be several words long. It's like a keyword phrase.
Yep.
So if you were to type in cars into the search engine, then cars is your keyword. If you type in BMW Z3, then BMW Z3 is your keyword. It doesn't matter how long or short it is, that's what your keyword is. Now, you might be thinking, hang on, how does this actually relate to my website? Well, if you want to be well ranked for a particular keyword, then you have to be targeting that specific keyword. So if you want to rank well for, let's say you've got a fish and chip store, and you want to rank well for fish and chip store Bondi Beach, because that's where your fish and chip store is, then you'll need to actually target that keyword with a web page on your website. The way that you target it is that you make sure that you've got some specific content around that keyword, and that your page is optimized for that keyword. And we're just talking about making sure that it actually mentions the keyword,
Mm.
fish and chip store Bondi prominently on the site.
Yeah, and there's several specific places that it does help. Now Google, as we know, this week have just completely replaced their algorithm with something
Yeah,
called Hummingbird. And whilst it's a brand new algorithm engine, a lot of the things stay the same. And I always like to sort of explain the algorithm as being like a room full of empty buckets, and you've got to try and fill as many of those buckets as possible. In
yeah.
order to try and optimize your chances for ranking for keywords. And with keywords on your website, there are a few little buckets you need to fill. Do you want to explain what some of those buckets are, Brent, where we can use them?
Yeah, absolutely. So keywords, one of the most valuable places to put a keyword is some place where you probably never noticed it before. It's in the title tags of your web page. And if you were to open up a web page inside a web browser, you would see this little title tag appearing right at the very top of that web browser. So one of the most basic things that you can do to target a keyword is to put the keyword into that title tag. And that's what appears in the Google search engine results when you're seeing a listing. It says homepage sometimes, and sometimes it says, the best way to cook brownies, for example. Whatever's in that title tag, that's typically what appears in that Google listing as well.
Now,
So when you're talking about as using as many of these keywords as well as possible, the way that I think of it is sort of like building a spider web to catch as many flies as possible.
mm,
So you want to have as many of these different keywords that you're targeting as possible on your website to get as many little flies as you possibly can.
but saying that, we don't put as many keywords as we can on one page, do we?
No, actually, that can be really detrimental, and it's a
Yeah.
mistake that players make. They try and target so many keywords on one page that they end up targeting none of them because you
Mm,
want to be specific with each one of these pages. You got one page, you want one keyword.
mm.
And you're thinking about the concept of optimization here. What can you do to make your web page as relevant and as valuable to one specific keyword as possible? Because it's the things that you do to make that page relevant and valuable to end users that ends up helping you to rank well for that page in the search engine.
Yeah, it sends quite a confused message to search engines such as Google if you do try to optimize for too many keywords, and that's when they say it becomes spammy behavior, doesn't it? Because you're
Yeah,
just shoving,
yeah,
or keyword stuffing, as some people might have already heard.
yeah, absolutely. There's no way that you can rank for, let's say, credit cards and fish and chip store in the same web page.
Mm.
You need to be on one topic, and it's just the nature of what Google is doing. Google is trying to find the most relevant page for whatever someone is searching for, and to display that most relevant page in that top spot in Google. And
Now you,
that top
yeah.
spot, that's the person that's going to get the most clicks.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned before the title tag. Now, I just wanted to clarify things for our listeners because I know that there is confusion with people when there's the title tag, but then there's the headline or the header of their actual page. Can you just explain the
Yeah.
difference between those two?
Typically what you'll see when you're dealing with the title tag, typically you don't read the title tag. Typically it's the little thing that appears at the top of your web browser. However, there's also often something called a heading tag or an H1, H2, H3. They've got really similar names, but they have different functions. A heading tag, an H1, an H2, and H3, so forth. They are used for headings in your content. So if you want to use, let's say, put a title on the page that people can actually read, well, that's actually called a heading rather than a title when it comes to this crazy web language that we use when we're talking about the code of a web page.
Mm. And with the title tags, often, I on my websites I will shorten it. So if I have the heading on the blog post or the article, then I will take the keyword phrase and try and compact it as much as possible, so it's very specific in the title tag.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when you're putting it into the title tag, you want to make sure that the keyword is prominent